Hey guys, welcome to this brand new video on my channel. Today we're going to be doing a PC build. You can follow along and even build the same PC. So right here we have the Ryzen 2700X. This is the CPU of our build. So right here is the CPU itself along with the sticker right above it. Set this aside. This right here is our CPU fan and cooler. So that's all good. We'll save that for the motherboard. So here we have our motherboard. Our motherboard for this build is the X470 Ultra Gaming. Inside the box we have the motherboard itself. Let's just set this aside for now and let's take a look at the components inside of the box. So inside here we have the manual and the setup disc. We have some SATA cables here, some wires that we might need, and we have the IO shield as well as screws and this sticker type thing for the motherboard. So here we have our motherboard, our X470 Ultra Gaming. We're going to want to remove this piece of tape on the back and remove this motherboard from the plastic, and make sure you insert it back into this cardboard box so that the components or the wires on the bottom would not touch anything. So first thing we're going to want to do here is insert our CPU. There is a corner on the motherboard that you want to align with the corner on the CPU. Make sure this is aligned, otherwise this will screw up your motherboard. You just want to push down this pin right next to it up until it clamps into its spot and the motherboard no longer moves. Now we are going to insert our RAM sticks. Here, while I struggle to pull up the RAM, I have a picture on the left side of the screen of which RAM slots you will be needing to use if you're using 2 RAM sticks. It is marked 1 through 4 on the motherboard, and you want to insert the first 2 into slot number 1 and slot number 2 according to the motherboard. Make sure you don't put them in order from left to right or from top to bottom. Make sure it is in order according to the motherboard. Now we are going to put on our heatsink and our CPU fan cooler. You're gonna want to make sure that you're gonna put on thermal paste, but if your CPU heatsink comes with thermal paste pre-applied, then you do not need to put on thermal paste. So here this CPU is a little bit hard to align, but once you get it aligned, you just snap the clip into place and make sure you plug in the cable into the CPU fan header and not a regular fan header. So next we have our PC case. This PC case is a tempered glass PC case. I really liked it and it was a really great price for this PC case. I will leave a link for all of the components in the description for you to check out. This is a great PC. I mean, it's a great mid-range PC, and if you're looking to spend around $1,000, this would be just the right PC to go for. So here I'm just simply taking out the PC case, and we are going to be unscrewing all 4 of these bolts holding the tempered glass on both the front and the back. If at any point my hair gets in the way in the video, do not mind, because this is my very first video of this type, so I tried my best. So here you can see I am unscrewing 4 on each side, and this tempered glass is very great. You can see everything. One of the tempered glasses is more darkened than the other. The more darkened one is for the cable side, and the lightened one is to see all the components in the case. Next, we are going to install the motherboard. But before we install the motherboard, we need to install these standoffs. So on this motherboard, we had to install 9 standoffs because it is a larger ATX motherboard. It is not one of the smaller ones. For this case, a smaller ATX motherboard would fit as well as a medium-sized ATX motherboard. This PC case is great for the price. Make sure, like, if you're building a PC, check it out in the description. It's a great PC. I didn't have any trouble with this case. There's also a lot of wire space to route it through certain holes to get to the motherboard. Now we are going to install the IO shield. As you can see, make sure you install it the correct way. Here I installed it the incorrect way. I had to reinstall it off video. I didn't get it on video. But basically you push it in from the inside of the case to the outside up until you hear all 4 corners lock. Next, we are going to install the motherboard itself. So you're going to want to gently insert the motherboard onto the motherboard standoffs that you installed earlier, and with the screws that came with the case, you are going to want to screw on the motherboard as you see me doing here. Again, my hair is probably going to get in the way a few more times. Just don't mind that, as this is still my very first video. For the next videos, I will try my best to do better. Make sure when you're installing the motherboard standoffs that they are correctly installed, because every motherboard is different. So next, you are going to want to plug in the fan header cables. If you are installing any extra fans, this would be the time to do so. I personally installed an extra fan a little later. The fan that I used was actually a really good price. If you want to buy it, I will list the link in the description. Next, you want to pull out one of these racks for the hard drive, and since it's these types of racks, you do not need to screw in anything. You just simply clamp it around the hard drive and simply insert it. Next, we are going to install this power supply. For this PC build, we chose a non-modular. Fortunately, there was plenty of room to stick the cables in so that they wouldn't look weird. So here you can see the 4 screws where you want to screw in the power supply. So here we are screwing it in, and whenever you are screwing something in during a PC build, make sure you screw in 1 screw, then go to the diagonal screw, screw that in, and then proceed to do that for the rest of the build. Next, as you can see here, we are just simply plugging in all of the cables. You're going to need the 24 pin connector to the motherboard. So as you can see here, I just connected a SATA cable that basically just connects the motherboard to the hard drive. And excuse my recording here, you can't really see me plugging in the 24 pin connector, but basically you just want to plug it in on the picture. As you can see, on the left side of the screen. The yellow is the 24-pin connector, and the purple is the SATA cables. Here I just provided a picture for you to see where you're supposed to plug in all of these little cables with the motherboard. You make sure you plug in the correct ones, otherwise it's not gonna work, or it could cause trouble to your motherboard. So here we are installing the GPU. For this build we had a GTX 1070 by MSI. For this case, you're going to need to remove the first one and push out 2 more to get this GPU in. So here I inserted the GPU, made sure it was firm in there, and screwed in the bolt near where my pointer finger was. You're going to want to screw back this very first plate, and then screw in the first thing we unscrewed. Also make sure you plug in the PCI cables into the GPU. That gives the GPU power to work, because there is not enough power from the motherboard itself. So here we have our case fan. I bought this one I think from Rosewell, and I simply here just used a blow dryer to heat up the sticker, so I could just simply remove it because I didn't really like that sticker getting in the way, and it just adds to that black feel. And if you have this random Rosewell sticker, it doesn't really match the build. So I pulled off the top of the case and inserted this fan near the top. So here I installed the top and made sure the fan was stable. And the last thing that we needed to do here was just tidy up the cables. So cable management took me about 30 minutes to do. I wanted it to look really nice, so I made sure all of the cables were zip tied well and aligned well. Make sure that none of the cables are like way too tight. Make sure that they're just a little bit loose when you're zip tying them. And here you can see I'm putting back tempered glass. Make sure the more not darkened one is placed in the front and the more darkened one in the back, because the darkened one is supposed to hide all the cable management. You just simply do that. So now we are done with the PC build completely. Here at this point you are going to need a USB stick with Windows, whichever Windows you like. I recommend Windows 10. So at this point, computer first try booted up. Right away we booted into Windows, and from this point on you're just gonna have to set it up. It's going to take a bit of time for the Windows 10 to download onto our hard drive that we installed earlier. So give it some time. Once it's done, we'll be able to set it up with Windows and insert our CD key. So here you can see our completed PC build. the LEDs are not fully synced in yet. I was going to make it a full red PC build out, as you will see at the end of this video. So the PC booted up perfectly after I installed Windows on it. Also, those purple lines on the screen, this is just a crappy screen I had to use for this build, but that's gonna be changed later. So here you can see the completely red design on the inside. This is the look I was looking for. It's a very nice PC and it looks great. I would definitely recommend that you build this if you're looking for a mid-range PC. Again, all of the parts will be linked in the description. Please check them out and purchase them via those links. Thank you and have a great day.